Assalamu alaikum and good morning or good evening, depends on what time you are watching this. We are from Group 1 uh, from class Research Method. I am Noor Gamal 195536 and my group mate Osha 196438, Sanjita 196440 and Luke Singh 199642. We are going to talk today about the narrative methods in research. Okay, first let's know what is narrative research. Narrative research is the research that describes the life of individuals and it collects stories about people's life uh, and individual experience. Next slide. There are different type of narrative. There are different type of narratives. There are biographies, autobiographies, life writing, personal narrative, and finally narrative interviews. Biography is the detailed account of person life written or produced by another person. And autobiographic, it's a life sketch of person written by the person himself or herself. So the difference that biographies is someone else write about person life, but autobiography is the writer he write about himself. Next slide. Life writing is the recording of memories, uh, experience, whether once on or another. Personal narrative is prose narrative relating personal experience, usually told in first person. Its content non-traditional. Okay, next slide. Narrative interviewing is method of qualitative data collection whereby a story is generating through the interview. The purpose is to provide opportunity for participant to narrate his or her experience for the researcher. Next slide. So I will pass to my friend to present about characteristic.
Okay, so hi, I'm going to talk about the characteristic of narrative research. Next slide. There are 7 major characteristics that are essential in narrative research. First one is individual experience. Understanding an individual's history or past experience will help explain the impact on their present or future experience. And number 2, chronology of the experience. A time sequence of a time sequence or chronology of events help readers to understand and follow the research. This is chronology of the experience. And number 3 is collecting individual stories. Stories can be acquired throughout various means, including interviews, informal observations, conversations, journals, letters, or memory boxes, and all these are the example of field text. And number 4, called restoring. It is also known as retelling or remapping. It is the process of gathering stories, reviewing them for key elements, and rewriting the story in a chronological sequence. The other key elements also include the settings, characters, actions, problem, and resolution. They provide the reader background information. And number 5 is coding for themes. Data can be coded into themes or categories. About 5 to 7 themes are identified, can be incorporated into passages of the story or in a separate section. And number 6 is context or settings. This is means that describe in details the place where the story physically occurs. The last one is collaboration with participants. Occurring throughout the research process, the participants and the researcher work together to lessen the gap between the narrative told and the narrative reported. And this is the 7 major characteristics of narrative research. So next, I will pass to my friends.
Next, I'm going to explain about the steps in conducting narrative research design. Okay, the first step is identify a phenomena that addresses an educational problem. So in these steps, it's all about how we determine a research problem to study and identify a central phenomena. Okay, so the next is about purposefully select an individual to learn about the phenomenon. Okay, in this stage, the researchers should select one or more volunteer individuals who can provide an understanding of the phenomena. Okay, so the third stage is about collect stories from the individual, reflect personal and social experiences. So in this stage, we have several ways to collect the um, information, the content, like individual will tell about his or her experience through personal conversation or interviews. Second is to have the individual record his or her story in a journal or diary. The third is observe the individual and record field notes. The fourth is collect letters sent by the individuals or assemble stories about the individual from family members, and also by obtaining photographs or other personal family social artifacts. Okay, that's how we collect the information. And the fourth stage is about collaborate with the participant, storyteller in all phases of researchers. Okay, so in this stage, it's about review the data that contain the story and retell it. Okay, means restory it. This process includes examining the raw data, identifying elements of the story in them, and consequencing or organizing the story elements. Okay, means rearrange the story. Okay, so number 5 is about write a story about the participants' personal and social experiences. Okay, so this is about collaborate with the participant storyteller. This step is one of the interacts with all the other steps in the process. Actively collaborate with the participant during the research process. So this is one of the very important steps in narrative research method. So number 6 is about validate the accuracy of the report. So whatever we do, we should do some validation, right? We should know whether the content is valid or not. So in this situation, we should know whether the experience and the story is valid or not with the research topic. Okay. So last but not least, it's about restory and retell the individual's story. So it's similar with stage 5. So you need to gather all the information, then you guys need to validate it, then need to rearrange it. So that's all the steps of narrative research. Okay, next.
the last part in our presentation today is about evaluation of narrative research design. So the first thing in evaluation of narrative research design is that keep the focus on a single individual or two is acceptable. Second, reports the life experiences of individuals as told through their stories. So according to their stories, based on what they told us, report the life experiences of them. Third, re-stories the individual's stories and tell the story using a proper chronology, which is like have a time frame which is beginning, middle, and end, for an example. Next, describe in some details the context of the story. According to the person's story, describe a few details in it, like the setting of an event which takes place based on the individual story, the place where it occurs, the people involved in such content, and so others. And next is report themes, which is like 5 to 7 to emerge out story. And the last one here is closely collaborate with the participant providing the story. So that is all for evaluation of narrative research design, and that is all from us. Hope to get your comments soon, Doctor. Thank you.